Title: The Last Bloom. In the once vibrant town of Elder Grove, life flourished along with its namesake flowers, which bloomed blooms of indigo and gold under an eternal summer sun. But everything changed on that fateful autumn day when the first reports of the Affliction started filtering in, a strange illness sweeping through nearby towns. Keira, a 16-year-old with a penchant for adventure, and her best friend Jay had just returned from a hike in the woods when they heard the sirens blaring in the distance. The ominous sound echoed, bouncing off the old oak trees, sending shivers down her spine. She brushed it off as nothing more than the latest gossip floated around the town's edge. Weeks passed, and the illness crept closer. The news turned grim as townsfolk began to vanish. Families once filled with laughter were now shrouded in sorrow, and as fear took hold, Elder Grove boarded itself up. But curiosity tugged at Keira and Jay, urging them to explore the forbidden path of the old botanical gardens, once the pride of the town. "Can you believe they still have the gates locked?" Keira said, her hands tinged with dirt as they dug into the soft earth. The garden had been a retreat for many, a place of joy and tranquility. But it was also a cemetery for secrets. "When this is all over, we'll come back and make this place beautiful again," Jay replied, but deep down, he felt the weight of their town's despair heavy upon him. As twilight descended, an unsettling fog rolled through Elder Grove, curling around the streets in tendrils of uncertainty. Keira felt drawn to the remnants of the botanical garden, and against her better judgment, they snuck through the rusty gates. The beauty inside had morphed overnight. Vines twisted like serpents around crumbling statues, while flowers bloomed in grotesque shapes that seemed to whisper sinister secrets. "Maybe we shouldn't be here," Jay murmured, scanning the shadows that danced at the edges of the garden. "I want to see the heart of the garden," Keira insisted, her adventurous spirit blooming brighter than the strange flowers around them. They navigated through the dense foliage until they stumbled upon a peculiar sight, a small glade encircled by sinister new growth, breathing as if alive. At the center, they found an abandoned greenhouse, its glass fractured yet holding an eerie beauty. Inside, Keira discovered what seemed to be an oversized bloom, pulsating like a heartbeat. Its indigo petals unfurled, releasing a faint glow that felt oddly inviting. And then they heard it, a low, guttural groan. Keira and Jay turned as one, their hearts racing in sync. From the shadows emerged a figure, its body grotesquely twisted, eyes milky and unseeing. It staggered forward, dragging its feet as it reached for them, moaning as if in a lament of its lost humanity. "It's one of them," Jay yelled, taking a step back. Keira felt a cold wave of terror crash over her. The stories on the news seemed too unreal to face. The figure lunged, and they both screamed. As they raced back through the garden, the shadows flickered and moved, warping as if the very air was alive with horrors. A chorus of screams erupted from the depths of the garden, echoing against the walls of despair. The flowers now seemed to pulse with the heartbeat of the undead, resonating with a rhythm only they could understand. They reached the gate and flung it open, running into the streets of Elder Grove, only to find that the illness had seeped into their home as well. The town had transformed. Those once human, now zombies, roamed aimlessly, searching for something the Affliction had stolen from them, their very essence. Panic seeped into Keira's bones. "We need to find my mom," she cried, as memories filtered through her mind. They raced toward her street, hearts pounding in unison, desperate to find safety in the familiarity of home. But every house stood silent, every window shrouded, the town was silent except for the distant groans. With no other choice, they tucked into the shadows, hiding behind a car as a group of zombies meandered slowly down the street, their movements jerky and grotesque. Jay grabbed Keira's arm, pulling her close. "We have to get to the school. There's safety in numbers." They sprinted toward the school, avoiding the streets lined with the undead. The night air felt electric with danger, every shadow alive with potential horrors lurking just out of sight. They reached the school, pushing the doors open as they stepped inside, locking it behind them. But deep within, Keira felt the blooming unease returning. The Affliction had not just transformed the townsfolk, it had brought with it a darkness that rooted itself in despair and hopelessness. As they took a breath, the fluorescent lights flickered ominously, and they realized a truth too painful to bear. Elder Grove was no longer their home, and its beauty, like the once vibrant flowers, had been choked into decay. "What do we do now?" Jay whispered, fear lacing his voice. Keira looked at him, her spirit fierce despite the dire situation. "We fight," she said, determination igniting a spark within her. "We find those who survived and we stop this nightmare." In the shadows of the haunted town, Keira and Jay stood fragile but resolute among the remains of a world gone awry, a last bloom in a garden overtaken by darkness. And with every step forward, they vowed to uncover the truth buried beneath the roots of the affliction, for themselves and for all that Elder Grove once was.